Norway, and shaman Durek Verrett. Let me tell you, I am so interested in this conversation because, like so many others, first, thank you for joining the TAM fam. So many other people, the first time I saw your love story was in a tabloid. And I thought to myself back then, I sent this over to my producers, and I said, I really want to talk to them to get to know their journey because you've shown great resilience in the midst of some interesting storms. How does it feel, Princess Marta, to have your love story now in your own words versus headlines?
So we chose to go out with our love on Instagram to own our story because my whole life has been in the press since I was 0 years old. And so I have been through a lot of times where the press have decided my story instead of me choosing how I want to present it. And so that was actually really nice.
Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you all are having a great day. So I wanted to talk about Cynthia G. Seems to be, and Oshay Jackson. They kind of cover two stories that generally wouldn't interest me, but I think the overall theme of the story seemed to be around the idea, a lot of from Cynthia G's perspective, of the idea that in these interracial relationships, oftentimes when you're dealing with an African American man or a person of African descent, you have a situation where the person of another race, whether it be a white woman or something like that, the idea that they're coming in to take resources out of that community, right? And so that's a big theme that gets pushed a lot. I think in Oshay Jackson's perspective, which I agree with a lot more about, and specifically we're talking about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, but the reason I put this little clip in here is to basically just show that there are different aspects to this, and that it can also go the other way, and has many times. But the part of what Oshay Jackson said that I agree with was that that Kim Kardashian didn't so much, I think, take from resource-wise from Kanye West. Cynthia G kind of presented this idea that Kim K, she took took his resource, kind of rolled his name up to fame, and then became, I guess, this $1 billion brand. And from that, she kind of didn't need Kanye West anymore. But I kind of saw it from a different point of view. I saw her as more an advantage to Kanye West, because if we look at the history of Kanye West, even if you look at the people he was involved with prior to Kim K, what you have is you had him dating people like Amber Rose, right? Now, Amber Rose kind of came to fame from Kanye West, right? It wasn't a situation where, I don't think it was Amber Rose was some popular person around Hollywood, right? We know her background, and we know a lot of her fame came from dating Kanye West, right? So this was the type of people Kanye West was dating, right? As he was climbing up the ladder with Jay-Z and so on. Kim K was a little bit, I think, different because she had already did the sex tape with Ray J. Her mom was already a marketing, genius, and she was pushing the Keeping Up with the Kardashians show, which was getting to be #1 on the E channel, I believe, and Kim had already had fame, much like she was kind of taking Paris Hilton's mantle, right? She was actually becoming more famous than Paris Hilton, and at that time, Paris Hilton was a big thing herself. So I would say at the stage of their meeting, both Kanye West and Kim Kardashian were pretty much on the same, you know, level. I think Kim probably was getting into to more money and more resources at that time, because of her makeup line, like being the best friend of Paris Hilton, following her kind of roadmap. Paris Hilton had then went into makeup lines and the perfume lines and accessories, and then Kim K started to do a similar thing, and then they start to take over social media, right? So we fast forward a little bit. Kim K and Kanye West, they get married, and through their marriage, Kanye's taken a lot of business risk and trying to get to the next level, right? Making enemies of people, going against the grain, right? Him and Jay-Z kind of got into it, and him and other brands like was it Nike, I believe. He was having issues with that. So economically, there's starting to be a certain economic challenge with Kanye West. Kim K was climbing up, becoming a billionaire all during that time. And so oftentimes in statements, Kanye would speak about how Kim K was one of the only women who actually bought him things, purchased things for him, and did things for him. And he would always speak about his wife is rich, right? That he's not rich, but his wife is rich, right? Throughout this process, I think Kanye start to, as his music, a lot of his old fans start to kind of turn against him in the music industry, which was his bread and butter at the time. Uh, a lot of his appeal and popularity was going up along with Kim K, right? So I guess the point I'm making is that not only did I think they were a good match, I think they're probably they probably like the one of the best matches that could be, even if you take race out of it, that I could think of, right? And especially in Hollywood. Now, I think the real challenge came due to mental illness. Mental illness is tough. Kanye suffering from bipolar disorder, and things like that. I can't really say I blame Kim K, because when you get married, you do so in sickness and health. But we know a lot of marriages, people change and things don't last. A lot of people get divorced, and her having to sign up for the level of mental health and issues and drugs that Kanye West was doing, it's kind of understandable why that would be a big issue for some people, and some people couldn't handle that, right? And I think with everything going on with Kim K, it did get to the point where she just didn't want to deal with that anymore, that she wanted to be happy. But I do think, at least, comparing it to Hollywood standards, I think Kim K kind of hung in there a long time. So I can't really blame Kim K. I think she had like 4 children with him. Um, and so I guess I more so agree with O'Shea Jackson's stance on this. I think the correction that I want to make, with somebody's point of view like Cynthia G, is that I don't think a Kanye West situation uh, it works well, because I think this was one of those situations where when you're speaking about uh, other races coming in and taking resources out of the black community, I think this was one of the situations where that was the opposite, and that worked actually better for the black community. Not only did Kim K have more money, but a lot of the advocacy she did for the prison system, and a lot of the political views she took in trying to reform the prison system, and get people released from prison. A lot of those things she did, I think, worked in favor for the black community. Also she's Armenian. I know that doesn't qualify as being a person of color to a lot of people, but if you go to Armenia, there is a lot of cultural and ethnic relations to Ethiopia, right? Which is close to African descent. So I'm not saying that she's not I mean, some people would say kind of consider her a woman of color, but if you don't feel she is, I certainly would say she did work well with Kanye West, and I think that it was a relationship that was more beneficial uh, to Kanye in a sense than Kim K. Right? I don't really see it so much like Kim K rode the wave of Kanye West. I think that Kim K just has been this woman who's had a preference for a very long time, with African American men. She's kind of started off on the scene, we know, with like Reggie Bush, and then she went on to other black NBA stars and things like that. And so, I kind of saw them as a good equal match, right? I do think they're better together, right? I don't know what this thing with Pete Davidson is. I think that Pete Davidson himself just has a pretty good reputation of dating big, people in Hollywood. I think a lot of people forget that Pete Davidson had a romance with um, Ariana uh, Ariana Grande, is that her name? Yeah, Ariana Grande, which was a big deal in the pop star world and the women of no color world, I guess. But he had a big affair with her, and so it seems the relationships in Hollywood, they move around this way, and it's a very small town. Um, but I can understand Kim's perspective of at this stage, Kim's made all her money. She probably just wants to be happy and have fun. But I certainly can't be upset with Kim K for wanting to move on. And I think it's a good idea for her to date, not just it have to be she dates black men. Now the clip that I had going in the beginning with Princess Marta Louise of Norway, um, she's involved with this. She's having this love affair with this African American who's of Nigerian descent. He's like one of these Hollywood spiritual celeb advisors, right? Um, but their relationship seems to be going quite well. She's fourth in line to the throne of Norway, right? I think she was the firstborn of the present ruler of Norway. And so she's one of these old, very old blue bloods in the European royal family, probably older than the British royal family, actuality. But they have a very, it seems, strong relationship. And I think the point is this just kind of cuts the narrative of it's just always people of other races coming in, and if it's a rich black man, it's always a person of another race with less resources taken from them, right? We can also say a similar thing about Serena Williams, right? Serena Williams, who has a fortune, marrying a white man who had a great deal less, right? And I'm sure he's used a lot of her resources, right? So I think that to categorize this the way that Cynthia G has done it, I think in this particular situation, I think there were errors a great deal of what she was saying about Kanye West. I don't think it went that way with Kim K and Kanye West at all. Not saying that there aren't situations where there have been sports athletes and stars who they maybe married the cheerleaders, or they married the Instagram models, and they're of another race, and then they try to come up. Yeah, sure, it's that, but this isn't one of those cases where it's been that. And I think the value of a this shows too that the value of a black man, an African American man, or man of African descent, uh, that there isn't a playbook for this, and that there isn't going to be situations where classes cross on the other side, where these women can who have the resource and access from another race can actually help to empower that relationship, and give to that relationship as opposed to the opposite. So it does occur. I do agree that there are those cases that we get to see in media a lot, where the only time you see wealthy white women with black men, you know what I mean, is if, or you see white women with black men as if they're wealthy athletes or they're wealthy black men or something. But in my personal experience, I've had black African American friends who've dated rich white women, right? So it does occur. Um, and so the narrative about the value of a black man, I think fitting Cynthia G's narrative is just Cynthia G's narrative. I think it's a much broader idea about that, and I don't think these women are sharing that narrative. These women of other races share that narrative. Now, I do want to say this in closing, right? Um, I studied a professor from Harvard University by the name of Dr. Robert Putnam, and he spoke a lot of the social capital arrangement and model, right? And how it works is oftentimes if a person looks like you or they're from your tribe or community, you're more likely, obviously to do business with them, share resources with them, marry them, and so on and so forth. This is true, right? The commonalities in this would draw one to that. But the but the and so it is more likely that a rich black man will probably end up with a black woman, right? I do believe that, and I think I had to get the statistics. I've heard various statistics, but that is that black men more than likely will marry a black woman. So I think that is more so the norm, right? But as far as value systems go and classes go and other races, I think this is just presenting that it doesn't necessarily have to go that way, and that there isn't any particular precedence that's been set where it's going to go the way like Cynthia G's looking at it, like, they're just going to pick the rich black man and suck resources from it, right? There are other cases where this isn't true. You have the runway model who became this big famous model. I forget his name, Jeremy something, I think. He had been in prison. They saw his mug shots, and and this billionaire heiress who was of Caucasian from a big famous billionaire family, she is dating him at this point in time, right? And so that does happen too. I think affairs of the heart don't have any rules in that particular, arena. So I wouldn't go by that, and I wouldn't hold it as gospel. But that's all I want to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. If you want to hear some more of my perspective on these very interesting Cynthia G videos, make sure that you subscribe and tune in. I'll be sure and give my opinions about them. They are quite interesting to me. Cynthia G, the manosphere. These are all kind of new concepts to me. So I am kind of coming to this new to it, and find it quite interesting psychologically, and just seeing where everybody's coming from. And I want to try to be not try to be biased in it, right? So, if Cynthia G makes some good points, I want to, try to give credit where it's due, but I want to try to as well keep the information as factual as possible, and try to present as much information as possible on the topic. But that's all I want to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.